Hello, Pistons fans. David Mayo from MLive here with another round of your Ask David questions via video response. Had some good questions this week pertaining free agency, how the Pistons plan to implement their new guys, Ish Smith and John Lure, the Andre Drummond free agency assigning or agreement, and what impact that might have moving forward and how the Pistons might maneuver that. But we go back for our video response to Atomic Asphalt, who asked, how do you think these lucrative NBA free agent contracts will sit with existing teammates in those cases where players re-sign with their parent club, and with new teammates in those cases where a player has signed with a new organization? I understand it's just business and all about timing, and this round of free agents just happens to be benefiting from both. But NBA players are human too. Could these contracts actually destroy team chemistry from within? Resentment and envy seem like very possible unintended consequences out of this Christmas in July frenzy. Any opinions on that, David? Or are NBA players mature enough as a group to understand that their paydays will come someday and that patience is a virtue? Personally, I think it is about time Mike Conley became the highest paid player in the NBA history. What took so long? Thanks, AA. Well, thanks for the question, AA. I don't think it'll be a major factor. I think that you can't lump NBA players into a mass group and paint with a broad brush and say no one will be affected by it. Your question kind of reminded me back in the day when I covered the Tigers in the late 80s. In 1989, I recall vividly being in the clubhouse one day on payday. Jeff Robinson, who was a pitcher for the Tigers, who was going pretty well back then, but was not a great out-of-training athlete, shall we say. He was not a guy who really took great care of his body and maximized his career from that perspective, was opening his paycheck in front of his locker one day, and Guillermo Hernandez happened to look over his shoulder. At the time, Hernandez was making well over $1 million a year, and Jeff Robinson was making about $170,000 a year, if I recall correctly. And when Hernandez saw the check, he said, "What is that, a bonus check?" So these guys, they have a lot of ways of measuring themselves. Championship rings and salaries are the biggest among them. Playing time, of course, another. So I'm not going to say it doesn't have an impact, but I think fans get worked up about this more than players. We've been talking about this for years, literally years, that this was going to happen, that there was going to be a major TV cash infusion, that these salaries were going to escalate beyond anything we've ever seen in United States professional sports before. We threw the numbers out there. We talked about smoothing, which would have been a process whereby some of this money would have been filtered in more slowly. We talked about the impact of not smoothing, which is what indeed has happened. And we're already talking about the impact of 2017, if anybody wants to heed this, when the salary cap's going to go up another $14 or $15 million, approximately a 15% jump in salary cap next year over this year, and this whole thing is going to play out again. So you can get upset about Kevin Durant leaving, you can get upset about Mike Conley making $153 million, but the alternative is to keep it in the owner's pockets. What you're really griping about is billionaires not hoarding money from millionaires if you're really worked up about what these guys are getting paid. The reason this is happening is because people watch the NBA on television, and advertisers pay big dollars to advertise, and it does ultimately filter down to the consumer in your cable bill, in how whether if you go to a game, you'll see ticket increases. It's just the consumer ultimately ends up paying. So I can understand from that perspective. I don't hear a lot of fans griping about it from that perspective, but I can understand why they might have a complaint. But in the inner sanctum, it's not that big a deal. Marcus Morris knows he has himself to blame for the $5 million contract per year that he's playing with for the Pistons. Steph Curry knows he's going to make $12 million this year, way below market value. He's been way below market value for a while now. His payday's coming next summer. He knows that. These guys, they work for the contracts they sign. The situations resolve themselves as long as you stay earnest and you don't take the Jeff Robinson route and you continue to work on your game and you get better, you make your body better, you make your game better, you get yours eventually. Most guys will be able to cope with that. There might be some isolated problems internally with guys, but I don't think it'll be a major issue moving forward as these guys look forward to their chances to cash in. Be back with you next week with another round of Ask David.